Good morning. This is Muhammad Sulaiman, Assistant Professor of Commerce, working at MVS Government Degree College, Autonomous, Mehboob Nagar. Today, let us learn about Consumer Protection Councils. As we have learned that the Consumer Protection Act was passed in India in order to safeguard the interest of consumers who are poor, who are ignorant, and who cannot afford to go to the courts regularly to seek justice in case of fraud or in case of any cheating by the traders who adopt unfair trade practices on various grounds. Therefore, it is important for us to learn about the consumer protection councils and how the consumer protection councils function. So, for this purpose, the objectives of this lesson are devised as follows. At the end of the lesson, we will be able to learn the introduction, then Central Council, then State Consumer Protection Council, District Consumer Protection Council, then how to file a complaint, how a complaint can be filed, and who can file a complaint. Then we will learn about procedure that is followed on receipt of a complaint from a complainant and relief available to consumers and redressal machinery under the act. So let us learn all these things in today's lesson. Therefore, establishment of consumer protection councils gains importance here. So, in order to protect the interest of the consumers who are very poor, unorganized, and ignorant, the consumer protection councils are established by the government at three levels, that is, at central government level, at state government level, and one at district level. So, all these consumer protection councils aim at safeguarding the interest of the consumers, and the interest of the consumers will be safeguarded by holding meetings at regular intervals. Section 5 of the Consumer Protection Act provides that the Central Council shall meet as and when necessary and at least once in every year, or at least once in a year. Therefore, the Central Council shall meet at such a time when it feels that there shall be some meeting conducted according to the procedure that has been laid down in the Consumer Protection Act. Therefore, the councils established at three levels, central government level, state government level, and district level, aim at safeguarding the interest of the consumers at three levels. Now let us move on and see the formation of Central Council. The Section 4 of Consumer Protection Act provides that central government shall by notification establish a council which is known as the Central Consumer Protection Council, which aims at protecting the consumer's interest at national level. And the Consumer Protection Council at central level shall consist the following members. The minister in charge of consumer affairs in the central government will be the chairman of the Central Consumer Protection Council, and such other number of official and non-official members who are having such interest and as prescribed by the act may be appointed as members. So the membership has thus been left to the rule making power of the government. If the government feels that there shall be 100 members in the Central Consumer Protection Council, so it may appoint 100 members in the Central Consumer Protection Council. The consumer protection rules that have been laid down in the year 1987 will specify the appointment of or the nomination of members to the Central Consumer Protection Council. So, as such, there may be 150 members of various groups representing different consumer interests to be nominated in the Central Council, and the term of such members nominated shall be 3 years. And it is clear that once a council is formed, once council is accommodated, then It shall conduct meetings regularly in order to review the situation of the consumers' protection. Therefore, the Central Council shall conduct meeting whenever it feels necessary, and it shall conduct at least one meeting in one particular year. Now let us move on and see what are the objectives of Central Consumer Protection Council. Section 6 of the Consumer Protection Act states the objectives of Central Consumer Protection Council or Central Council. The main objective of the Central Council is the protection of the rights of the consumers. It will ensure that the rights of the consumers are not violated or not disturbed, and the consumer's interest is protected properly. Therefore, the objectives of a central council mainly focus on the rights of the consumers. The rights of the consumers, so we can take some examples like the right to be protected against marketing of goods which are hazardous to life and property. So if some trader is marketing some type of goods which are hazardous to life or property of the consumer, then the Consumer Protection Council shall intervene and shall see that marketing of such goods is stopped. Then there is one more right that the consumer may have is the right to be informed about the quality, quantity, purity, standard, and price of the goods so as to protect the consumer against the unfair trade practices. So, in order to see that the transactions are happening properly, or promptly, or in a fair manner between the trader and the consumer is having a right to be informed about the quantity that he is going to purchase, or the quality that he is going to take the product, quality of the product, and the purity. If product demands purity, also the purity aspect may also be informed to the consumer. And if there is any standard, if there is any standard like if it is agricultural product, then it is rated by different standards agency. For example, we can take Agmark. Or if it is a production good, we can take the standard like Indian Standards Institute. Or if it is a gold, then we can take the example of BIS Hallmark. That is the certification issued by Board of Indians Bureau of Indian Standards. So likewise, the consumer shall be informed about the quantity, quality, and price of the products so as the consumer is not exploited by the traders. And one more right that Central Council will ensure that the consumer is getting is the right to be assured wherever possible and access to a variety of goods at competitive prices. At competitive prices, if the consumer is getting the best available good, then the consumer is happy. If on the opposite direction, if the consumer is not getting the right product at the competitive price, then we can expect that there is some exploitation by the traders. Therefore, it is important that the right of the consumer to be assured about the quality and an access to variety of goods, an access to variety of goods at competitive rates shall be given to the consumer. Then one more right that we may have that forms one of the objectives of Central Council is right to be heard and to be assured that consumers' interest will receive due consideration at various forums. Whenever consumer has a grievance, whenever consumer wants to talk something, then the consumer shall be given appropriate time, or the consumer shall be given an appropriate opportunity to explain his problem, to present his case, and get his complaint registered in the consumer forums wherever possible. Therefore, the right to be heard by the consumer is also followed. Then one more objective that is already available as a right to the consumers is right to seek redressal against the unfair trade practices that are being adopted by the traders. Some traders might adopt unfair trade practices. Unfair trade practices are those trade practices which are not permissible in normal circumstances, but in order to take advantage on some ground, some traders may take unfair trade practice, may adopt unfair trade practice, and due to the adoption of unfair trade practice, the consumers will suffer a loss. Either they may be exploited in the form of charging higher prices, or they may be suffering loss, or they may face some exploitation on the grounds of low quality or substandard products or some adulterated foods and so on. Therefore, in order to ensure that all these things are given, the right to seek redressal against the unfair trade practices shall be given. Then we have one more right, that is right to consumer education. The Central Council ensures that the consumer education is going on and the consumer awareness programs are being conducted in order to inform the consumers regarding their rights. Therefore, the Consumer Protection Council at central government level, that is Central Council, will ensure that all the rights of the consumers are being maintained and the consumers are able to seek redressal if there is any grievance. Now let us move on and see the role of the State Consumer Protection Council. Section 7 of the Consumer Protection Act provides for the establishment of State Consumer Protection Council by any state government, which will be known as Consumer Protection Councils at state government or State Consumer Protection Councils. And as usual, the State Council shall consist of a minister who is in charge of consumer affairs, and he will be the chairman of the State Consumer Protection Council. And wherever necessary, one official and non-official members shall be appointed in the State Consumer Protection Council as and when the government feels necessary, it appoints some official or non-official members. And as discussed earlier, the State Council shall meet as and when necessary, but if no meeting is conducted normally, it shall meet at least two times in a year. That is, two meetings shall be conducted in one particular year, and the procedure to be observed in the transactions is laid down in the Consumer Protection Act. Therefore, the State Consumer Protection Council aims at ensuring the protection of consumers at the state level. So this is how the State Consumer Protection Council functions, and the State Consumer Protection Council aims at protecting the interest of the consumers in the entire state. Then we have one more level of Consumer Protection Council, that is at district level. As per the section 8A, the state government shall notify for establishment of District Consumer Protection Council at every district, which will be known as District Consumer Protection Council or District Protection Council. And the district collector and magistrate of the district will be the chairman, and some members, either official or non-official members, will be nominated on the District Protection Council, who will attend the meetings every year. The district council shall meet whenever there is a need. Whenever there is a need arises, the District Consumer Protection Council will meet. And like the state government or the State Consumer Protection Council, the District Consumer Protection Council shall also meet at least twice a year. So there shall be at least two meetings that are conducted to review the situation of consumer protection at the district level, where the district collector and magistrate will attend the meeting in the capacity of chairman, and other official and non-official members will join the meeting in the capacity of their nominated members. Therefore, the objective of every District Consumer Protection Council shall be to promote consumer education and to protect the interest of the consumer rights, and the consumer rights laid down earlier shall be protected by the District Consumer Protection Council at the district level. Now let us move on and see how a complaint can be filed. As we already know that a person making complaint is called complainant. So complainant can be anyone who has a grievance. So now let us learn the procedure how a complaint can be made. So for filing a complaint, there shall be an application alleging the complaint in writing. So any allegation in writing made by a complainant regarding the defect or fault or deficiency in service shall be in writing, and the facts of the case, how the allegation has been developed, shall be recorded in writing, and the allegation made shall be put on paper, and oral complaint may also be received sometime, but it is advisable that the allegation shall be in writing. Then second one, the name, description and address of the complainant shall be given. If I am filing a complaint, I should explain my details. I should tell my details or note my details, that is my name and my status, that is what do I do, my designation, and the profession and address. So all these things shall also be mentioned. Then third, in the third situation, the name, description, address of the opposite party. Opposite party here is nothing but the seller or the trader. The name of the shop or the name of the shop owner, and the description of the shop, what type of shop it is, whether it is a hardware, whether it is a hotel, whether it is a kiranam shop, or whether it is a supermarket and all. Then address of the opposite party, where the shop is actually located. The complete address of the shop shall be maintained along with the pin code, where the shop is located, the lane, the landmark, or the street, or the area, or the sector of the shop shall be located, shall be noted properly in order to serve the notice to the owner of the shop. Then the documents in support of the allegation, document in support of the allegation, and in some cases an affidavit explaining how the complaint has arisen and what is the unfair trade practice that has been adopted by the trader. So the documents, that is the purchase receipt or the invoice that has been given by the trader, and the uh, the details mentioned in the paper or in affidavit shall also be attached along with the complaint. Then the relief that is asked by the complainant shall also be explained. The relief sometimes may be in the form of compensation also. What is the compensation that the complainant is asking? Sometimes a person may ask a compensation in the form of rupees. For example, for an unfair trade practice, compensation asked by a consumer can be 20,000 rupees, or compensation asked by a consumer can be 1 lakh rupees. Therefore, it is the amount that is being asked by the complainant due to the unfair trade practice adopted by the trader. Therefore, what type of relief that the complainant is asking shall also be mentioned. The relief may be monetary, or the relief may be sometimes non-monetary also. And one more important thing is the complaint shall be signed by the complainant or his advocate. So mere writing the allegation on a paper will not suffice. Therefore, the signature of the complainant shall also be put on the allegation or on the complaint, or any person or advocate authorized by the complainant shall sign on the complaint. Then, in case if there is any prescribed fees for filing the complaint before the consumer redressal agency, it has to be deposited properly in the prescribed mode. For example, if the if the fees prescribed for the purpose of making a complaint is a payment of rupees in cash, then cash shall be paid and proper receipt shall be taken for the acknowledgement of taking the fees by the consumer redressal agency. Then the receipt of the fees shall also be attached properly. Therefore, whenever fees is required, fees shall also be paid by the complainant. and the complaint can be presented before the consumer redressal agency by the complainant or his authorized agent in person. So sometimes it may not be possible for the complainant to present in person or appear in person before the redressal agency. In such a case, he may authorize his agent or an advocate to appear before the consumer redressal agency in person and file the complaint. So this is how complaint can be filed. So I quickly go through the different details that are there in the procedure of filing a complaint. The first and foremost requirement is the allegation shall be in writing. What is to be explained, or what is the actual loss suffered, or what is the basic complaint shall be made in writing on a paper, and the different details of the allegation shall also be mentioned in the complaint. Then the name, description and address of the complainant shall be written. Then the name, description and address of the opposite party, that is the trader, shall also be given. Then documents in support of allegations shall also be given. Then the relief or compensation asked by the complainant shall also be mentioned. Then it should contain a signature. Then it shall be an application or complaint which has paid the prescribed fees. So when all these things are fulfilled, the complaint is filed or lodged. Now we have one more thing that is to be known by us, that who can file a complaint. This is an important question. Who can file a complaint? So the complaint can be filed by a person who is called a complainant, but complainant can be understood in various ways. Normally, there is a presumption that the complaint can be filed only by a consumer, but it is not so. A complaint can be filed by any person who has some interest or who has suffered some loss due to the use of some product sold by a trader or a businessman. So now let us see who can file a complaint. A complaint can be filed by a consumer. So a consumer is a person who buys the goods by paying a consideration that is already paid, or that is partly paid and partly promised, or that is agreed to pay on a deferred payment basis. Sometimes a consumer includes a person who hires any service from the service provider and pays a consideration in the cash, or agrees to pay the consideration partly in the cash and partly in the future payment, or who agrees to pay the consideration in a deferred payment basis. So in all such cases, the consumer is a person who has hired the services of the service provider, or has purchased something from a seller by paying a consideration. Therefore, the first person who can file a complaint is consumer. Then we have one more person who can file a complaint is any voluntary consumer association. Nowadays, there are consumer associations also which are registered. So the consumer associations which are registered in order to protect the interest of the consumers may also file a complaint in the consumer forum seeking redressal of the grievance. Then we have one more type of person who can file a complaint, that is the central government or any state government can file a complaint against a trader. So the central government or state government will be represented by an executive or officer working under the central government or state government, or sometimes one or more consumers who have the same interest or who have suffered the same type of damage due to the unfair trade practice adopted by the trader can also file a complaint in a group. For example, if 50 consumers have suffered a loss due to the unfair trade practice adopted by one trader, all those 50 persons can file a complaint by forming a group. So such group will file a complaint with the district consumer forum or state consumer forum or national consumer forum appropriately. So we have one more category of persons who can file a complaint, that is legal hire of a consumer if the consumer has expired. The legal hire or the representative of the consumer acting on behalf of the consumer who has actually expired. So this is how the complaint can be filed by a consumer, and the complaint can be filed by a voluntary consumer association, and the complaint can be filed by the central government or state government or one or more consumers. Now the question is where to file a complaint. So how to file a complaint and who can file a complaint is known to us. Now the question is where to file a complaint. Whether I shall approach a district consumer forum, whether I shall approach a state commission, or whether I shall approach a national commission is the question before us. So the answer for this is the value or compensation asked by the complainant. The place where to file the consumer complaint or where to file the complaint depends upon the compensation that is requested or that is asked by the complainant. If the claim if the claim does not exceed rupees 20 lakhs, if the compensation asked by the complainant does not exceed rupees 20 lakhs, then the complaint can be filed in the respective district forum. So I repeat, if the claim asked does not exceed rupees 20 lakhs, the complaint can be filed at the district forum. And on the other hand, a person who resides in a district normally can approach the district forum by visiting the district forum voluntarily, and he can visit the office personally or through his authorized agent, and he can file a complaint in the district respectively. So this is how a complaint can be filed in a district forum. So all the requirements have to be fulfilled. That is, a complaint shall be allegation shall be in writing. The name, address, and details of the complainant shall be given, and the name, designation, and address of the opposite party, that is trader, shall be given. All these things apply automatically. But the basis which decides where to file a complaint is the compensation asked by the complainant. So the compensation, if the compensation asked by the complainant is below 20 lakhs or up to 20 lakhs, the complaint can be filed in the respective district forum. If the compensation asked are where the value of goods or services and compensation lies between rupees 20 lakhs but does not exceed rupees 1 crore. So I repeat, where the compensation exceeds rupees 20 lakhs and does not exceed rupees 1 crore, the complaint can be filed with the state commission. The complaint can be filed with the state commission. The respective state commission shall be approached, and the state commission is normally situated in the capital city of the state. So if it is an example of Telangana and the state commission is situated in Hyderabad, therefore all the persons who are from Telangana, maybe from any district, may have to approach the state commission that is situated at Hyderabad in order to file a complaint against a trader for redressal against the unfair trade practice, and asking the compensation between rupees 20 lakhs but not exceeding rupees 1 crore. So this is how a complaint can be filed in a state commission. And thirdly, where the value of goods or services and compensation claimed exceeds rupees 1 crore, then the complaint may be filed before the National Commission. So in clear terms, if the compensation exceeds rupees 1 crore, then the complaint shall be made at the National Commission. That is, the National Commission is situated in New Delhi. So the compensation or the value of goods limit that we have reviewed just now, that is up to 20 lakhs at district level, and between 20 lakhs to 1 crore at state commission, and above 1 crore at National Commission are the limits set by the Consumer Protection Act 1986. Recently, the new Consumer Protection Act 2019 has been enacted by the government, and the uh, compensation limits have been enhanced at district level, at state commission and national commission. But here, as we are discussing about the Consumer Protection Act 1986, the limits set by the Consumer Protection Act 1986 are discussed here. Therefore, the filing of a complaint on the basis of the compensation claimed is a district forum where the value of goods are claimed is up to 20 lakhs rupees. At state commission, when the value of goods or compensation asked is above 20 lakhs but not 1 crore. And in case of national commission, the value of goods or compensation asked is above 1 crore. So this is how the complaint can be filed based upon the value of the compensation asked. Now let us move on and see the procedure adopted on receipt of a complaint. On receipt of a complaint by the appropriate dispute redressal agency, what is the procedure that is followed? The first and foremost step that a consumer redressal agency follows or adopts is it will check whether the complaint can be admitted or not. It will check the about the admissibility of the complaint by the forum. So the admissibility of the complaint by the forum is checked, and within 20 days of its receipt, the first step is to decide whether a complaint can be admitted or not. So the first step is admissibility of the complaint by the forum. When one person files a complaint against a trader, or when one person files a complaint against a seller explaining the position how he was cheated or deceived by the trader, then after receiving the written complaint, the forum will decide whether the complaint shall be admitted or not. Then after 21 days, the second step is to refer a copy of the complaint to the opposite party, directing him to give his version, because the opposite party shall also be given an opportunity to present his case within 30 days. So within 30 days, the opposite party, that is normally the seller, has to explain the situation or explain his argument regarding the complaint filed by a complainant. So normally a complainant will provide the details of how he is aggrieved. He is how he is aggrieved in a transaction that has been done by the trader. Therefore, on receipt of the complaint, the consumer forum, after admitting the complaint, will refer a copy, will forward a copy to the to the opposite party regarding the complaint made by one person, and will direct him to give his version of the case or his explanation within 30 days, that is within 1 month time. So normally the opposite party will reply within 1 month time, but sometimes on the request of the opposite party, on the request of the trader, the district forum can extend the time by 15 days more. That is 30 plus 15, 45 days time can be given. Sometimes whenever there is a need by the district forum in order to provide an opportunity to the opposite party to present his case. And sometimes it happens that on receipt of the copy of a complaint, the opposite party denies. The trader denies regarding the complaint made by the complainant. And there arises a dispute between the parties. The dispute arises mainly because of the allegations made by the complainant, and the allegations are not being accepted by the trader. Sometimes it might happen that the opposite party may deny straight away, saying that what is alleged or what is written by the complainant is totally false, and what I say is true. Please trust me. The complaint made by the person is not correct. Therefore, the opposite party denies to accept all the complaints made by the party or made by the complainant. Then the dispute arises between the two parties. So, in such a case, the consumer forum or district forum will take some action, and as the complaint cannot be decided without proper analysis, if it is a product, if it is a commodity that can be checked in a laboratory to decide regarding its fault or defect, then the district consumer forum may send a sample may send a sample to a laboratory in a sealed form, asking a report for the genuineness or for the quality measures or the standard of the product sold to the consumer, and a time of 45 days shall be given to the concerned laboratory to submit its report regarding the quality or any other attribute of the product sold to the consumer. So, in such a case, the laboratory report will become the basis on which the complaint of the complainant shall be decided. So, in order to get a proper opinion, in order to get a correct and a true report on the complaint made by the complainant, the forum or the district forum may rely on the report given by the laboratory after analysis and testing of the product or commodity. In some cases, it may happen that the testing fees is high, and the forum may direct the consumer to pay the testing fees of the laboratory also. So, in such a case, as per the direction of the district forum, the complainant may have to pay the laboratory fees in order to get the product or commodity checked and the report to be submitted in the district forum. Therefore, on receipt of the laboratory report, after fulfilling all the formalities, the report of the laboratory is forwarded to the opposite party asking his clarification or asking his explanation. So, in such a case, some time will be given to the opposite party for submitting his version on the analysis and test and report done by the laboratory regarding the product that he has sold. If the allegation is mainly because of the quality of the item sold by the trader, the district forum will rely totally on the laboratory report regarding the quality and standards that have been maintained by the manufacturer or the trader that has been sold to the consumer. Now, as a last step is the order of the forum. The fifth step being the final step that is adopted by the district forum. The district forum, before awarding the judgment or before giving a direction to the seller or the complainant, will provide an opportunity to the opposite party to submit a statement in writing regarding the complaint made by the consumer, and regarding the laboratory report, and regarding the compensation that has been asked by the consumer. So, after considering all these things, the district forum may award the judgment, which may come either in the favor of the complainant or which may come either in the favor of the trader. Therefore, the fifth step here is the order of the district forum. So, now let us see again what is the procedure that is followed on receipt of a complaint by a forum. So, on receipt of the complaint, the forum will check the admissibility of the complaint, whether the complaint can be admitted or not, and a copy of the complaint is forwarded to the opposite party for his explanation and presentation of the case. And if the opposite party denies or disagrees with the allegation made by the complainant, then there is a dispute between the parties, because the consumer or the complainant may say that there is a defect, and the trader or the manufacturer will say that there is no defect. Then, in such a case, there is a dispute, or there is a situation where both the parties are in disagreement. Then, in such a case, if the product is qualitative or manufactured in nature, then the forum may request for a quality report that is to be tested through proper analysis by a laboratory. Therefore, a sample or a whole uh, product or commodity can be forwarded to the laboratory seeking a report on it. After receiving of the report, a copy of the report shall be forwarded to the opposite party asking for his explanation. And after giving a proper due time, the forum will pass an order that will be a judgment that is awarded on the complaint made by a complainant, which may come either in the favor of the uh, complainant or in the favor of the trader. So after the final order is passed by the forum, there may be some relief measures available to the consumers. Now, let us see what are those relief measures that are available to the consumers. The relief can be either in the form of monetary or in the form of non monetary also. Sometimes it may happen that the allegation made by the consumer and the compensation asked is only in money terms, but the forum may award the judgment in non-monetary terms also. When it feels necessary that money or compensation can be given, the final order regarding the payment of compensation can be made. But in some cases, it may happen that in order to overcome the defects or faults that have been given to the consumer, the district forum may direct the following things to be done. First one, it may direct the trader to remove the defects in the product given to the consumer. So, as the complaint was mainly due to the defects that have occurred in the manufacturing process of the product, the district forum may direct the trader in order to remove the defects. Then we have one more relief that is available to the consumers after the order given by the district forum, that is to replace the goods with new goods. When there is no possibility of removing the defects in the goods available or goods given to the consumers, in such a case, what may happen is the forum may pass an order to replace the goods with the new goods. If one product is given, then that product can be withdrawn and the new product with good quality can be given. So this is one more relief measure that is available to the consumers based on the order of a district forum. Then one more order that may come in the form of relief to the consumers is to refund the price paid, to refund the price paid by the complainant. So this is also one kind of relief. When there is no possibility of removing the defect, and when there is no possibility of replacing the goods with the new goods, or even if there is a possibility but the district forum may feel so that it is right to refund the price paid by the complainant, then the district forum may pass an order to refund the price paid by the complainant. This is one relief measure. Then one more relief that may come to the consumer is compensation. In some cases, it may happen that the loss that has been suffered by the consumer in the form of some damage, in the form of some loss to his life or personal property, then the consumer forum may feel that some compensation shall be given as asked by the complainant. Then, in such a case, compensation shall be given to the consumers on the basis of the loss that they have suffered or on the basis of damage that has happened to him or his life or his property due to the unfair trade practice that has been adopted by the traders. Then one more relief is to remove the deficiency in the services. Now let us see how redressal machinery is functioning under the Act. The Consumer Protection Act is designed to give a relief to the consumer who is not in a position to go to the regular courts to fight his case. Therefore, in such a case, The Act provides for a three-tier quasi-judicial redressal machinery available at three levels: one at district level, one at state level, and one at national level. So whenever a consumer feels that he is aggrieved, or where there is a dispute between the trader and the seller, he can approach the quasi judicial redressal machinery available at district level, state level, and national level. Thank you.